happening, everybody? Welcome. Thanks for coming by. Today is Thursday. It's September 8th, 2022. My name's Jeremy, and this is my first cup. I don't know why the hood's on. It's not really that cold yet. Give it a couple weeks. Good morning to Lou and Brian and John and all the rest of you, whether you're watching live later or listening. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I was telling somebody this the other day that in Vermont, there's kind of this unofficial challenge. Can you make it to October without using the heat? I usually cannot because I don't want to be cold, and bragging rights are not worth being cold. There was a time in my life when I couldn't afford heat all the time just because I was slightly chilly. Hear my mom's voice in the back of my head, go put on another sweater. And so I would. But now, 43, I can afford heat, so I use it. Good morning also to Nathan and Jenny. Well, I want to say, let's see, I don't think anybody was part of, nope, none of you were part of it. Ooh. We had a great Patreon hangout last night. Did it on Zoom this time. Had a bunch of people come in and we just hung out. It was just nice. Some people did not know other people, and so that was fun for me to watch that. Of course, let's see, everybody who showed up I know reasonably well, at least, and we just talked. We just hung out, and it was fun. It was nice to do something without really an agenda, without a goal. I had fun, and I think everybody else had fun too. At least I hope they did. We'll do another one. I don't know if it'll exactly be monthly, but I'll think about it. And, I don't know why I'm so yawny this morning. And I'll post it in Patreon, and you can come. If you want to attend the next one, get in on the Patreon. This is one of the few things that we're doing for everyone, regardless of tier. So there you go. Good morning, Andy. How was your, what's today? Thursday? How was your Wednesday? My Wednesday was not super productive. There were some good things that happened. I did most of the financials and bumped up against a pretty big wall in that. So there's this bank, M&T Bank. I had never heard of M&T Bank until a few months ago when they sent me a notice that, hey, we bought People's United Bank, which has been my primary bank through acquisitions for almost 20 years. Well, they merged all the technology stuff, all the systems over the weekend. It didn't go well. Online banking was non-existent. And that's a problem. So I went in after I went and took care of some computer stuff for somebody. And I walked in and there's like 8 people in front of me in line. And this branch, I actually like the Montpelier branch, and I like the people who work there. There were chairs set up. Good morning, Dennis. Lou says, I'm not a fan of cold weather. It's painful. I'd rather be laying on a rock in 98-degree heat like a lizard. Well, that's certainly not me, but I get it. And it says, I'm not putting my money in a bank that's empty. I like that a lot. And so there are chairs sitting in the back of the lobby, so I waited. And while I waited, the line really didn't go down. Not for a while. People would come in. And it seemed like at the same rate that they were finishing up with people, more people would come in. And so I sat there for probably 30, 45 minutes, just waiting. In fact, I posted the information to Patreon about the Zoom while I was sitting in a chair, in a Adirondack chair, a rocking Adirondack chair. It was nice. And eventually, it was my turn. Eventually, I stopped sitting. I got up. I got in line. and it's just a disaster. So I said, hey, can you, I need some money so I can go put it in another bank and I can actually pay some bills. Because without online banking, bill pay was gone. Which, by the way, bill pay is pretty much how I run all of my businesses. Get you a bank with unlimited bill pay, break all your monthly bills down into weekly chunks, have that sent out automatically. That way, if a check on you coming in is a little bit smaller than you expected or hits a day later or something, it's less likely to upset your cash flow. Something I figured out for myself years ago and then realized it's something that a lot of people do with their finances. It's a good thing to do. But anyway, we're going to work on that more today. Jenny says she made progress on books and got frustrated with the toddler. And my darn kids won't tell me if they want free training day t-shirts, so I'm about to make them each buy their own. Harumph. Well, that's silly of them. Dennis says, happy Friday Eve, Whistlekick family. Please forgive my tardiness. I was washing my hair. Yeah, me too. Yeah, Brian says, hey, wait a minute. You don't have any hair? I had one bottle of shampoo through 4 years of college. I don't even use shampoo now. When friends come and visit and they forget to bring their own shampoo, because guys don't generally run around with all of their toiletries. They'll come out of the shower and say, I'd use your body wash in my hair. Well, why would I have shampoo? There's really no hair up there. It's just skin. So I'm going to wash it the same way I would wash my arm. There's more hair on my arm. Lou says, ha ha ha, Dennis. Good morning, Gad. How are you, my friend? Free training day stuff is going well. I have a bunch of things I got to do. Most of those are getting kicked to tomorrow. There's a lot that's got to get done. I will freely admit that I am behind. Why am I behind? Because we had a short week, but I should be able to catch up tomorrow, knock on wood. Today is packed full of meetings. The first one starts at 9. The housekeeper's coming, and I got to clear a path. There's so much going on. There's hiking stuff from the weekend that I haven't put away because it had to dry out, and just it'll happen. So in between all that, all the meetings, yeah, that's what we're doing. Finishing up the books, putting stuff away. It is Thursday. Thursday means there's another episode of Martial Arts Radio, where there's supposed to be. I did not see an email with the draft. So let's find out. What is today supposed to be? I never remember. But you all know that by now. I never remember what the episodes are because it's so far into the future. Or the past, depending on how you look at it. I don't know. I can't tell from that because we did was it one of these? Ah, shoot. Hold on. You know what? I should stop going there. We have a Google Doc for this stuff for a reason. I should be looking at this document. This would be the much more intelligent way to go about this. Release date. What's today? Today's the 8th. All right. So we got... Oh, yeah. Martial artists are the reason martial arts isn't bigger. I don't know if that's up on YouTube yet or in your podcast feed yet, but it will be soon if it isn't. Martial artists are the reason martial arts isn't bigger. To say it another way, we are our own worst enemies. And when I look at the industry, when I look at our lack of pop culture, elements. We refuse to support each other. We refuse to support things. I will always come back to the example of Into the Badlands. Before it aired, I said, hey, we need to support this. If we don't, it will be a while before we get something else on a major network that is martial arts related. We did not support it. It did okay, but not enough to justify the cost, so AMC canceled it. I thought it was really good. In fact, I was campaigning. Some of you may remember these days. I was campaigning for a Walking Dead style Talking Dead about Into the Badlands. And I was going to host it because I should. But then the show was gone, so I had nothing to host. All right. Lou says it is up. Haven't watched it yet. Jenny says September 8th, Disney Plus Day. I don't get what that means. Jenny's, no, let's crosstalk. Jenny agrees it was a great show, and Stacy says it was an awesome show. And for those of you that might be newer and weren't around back then, was also the first time I knew we were really on to something. So if I have my time right, I flew back from, let's see, I was either flying back from the new warehouse, no, not an option, in Texas or Arizona, I don't remember which one it was, or I was flying back from Superfoot training in Florida, and I landed and I looked at my phone, and there was an email from AMC saying, hey, as part of season 2's promotional efforts for Into the Badlands, we would like you to interview Daniel Wu and Emily Beecham, if you're interested. And I looked at my phone and I pretty much just froze up. And couldn't find words. Of course, I did go on to interview Daniel Wu and Emily Beecham. Both incredibly gracious people. Had a blast talking to both of them. Both of those episodes are still up. And it went well enough that for season 3, we interviewed Sherman Augustus, who I continue to think is a wonderful person. He's joining the cast of Stranger Things for season 5. And so one of the things I promised myself I would do is catch up on Stranger Things, because it's really not my kind of show. But I want to catch up because I want to watch when he's on, because I like him. He's a nice guy and he's a good actor, and he's a Taekwondo practitioner. Stacey says, I think it was the first time a major approached you. If I remember correctly, it was. And that's how I knew we were doing something right, because it's not like we were soliciting AMC. What must have happened? AMC went, okay, martial arts shows. Now they put Daniel and Emily on some other shows. Most of them weren't martial arts. Most of them did not do as good of a job. I'm proud of the job that I did talking to the two of them. It was fun. That was back when we used Skype. And here's a little bit of fun kind of behind the scenes. Emily's connection to Skype just wasn't working. And she said, okay, call me on my cell. Although she probably said mobile, because she's British. So somewhere, I have Emily Beecham's cell phone number. And what I really appreciate about that was she trusted me enough to do that. Every other time that we talk to a major celebrity, if they're using a phone, not that that happens very often anymore, but if they do, their agent has to, three-way call them in, so we don't have their number, which I completely understand. But I'll always remember how gracious she was with that. It really meant a lot. So I asked Jenny what Disney Plus Day is. She said Disney's hosting Disney Plus Day today. New releases on the streaming service and other discounts being promoted across the Disney product realm. Oh, interesting. Gad says Daniel Wu was the one Jackie Chan always said was to be a successor. You could always do a looking back and into the Badlands. That would be cool. That would be kind of fun. Good morning, Mindy. Mindy says Disney must be celebrating my birthday. Well, happy birthday, Mindy. And Jenny's right to remind me there is a book with all three interviews. We cleaned up the interviews with Emily and Daniel and Sherman, and we put them in a book. I forget what we titled it, but yeah. Yeah. So if you want to go deeper on that, if you prefer to read things. Oh, and Sherman was in season 4 of Stranger Things too. I didn't know that. So I'm behind. Darn it. All right. Well, we'll get there. I think I'm on season 2. Creepy and weird just doesn't do it for me as entertainment. I don't know. Oh yeah, we called it A Journey into the Badlands. That's a good title. Take care, Andy. So there we go. There's some trivia for you, some history. And I hope you check out that episode that we released today. Martial artists are the reason martial arts is bigger. And I hope I'm hoping for a couple different outcomes here. One, if you're on board, if you get it, if you agree, that you'll share it. I'm not expecting you're going to share that with people directly, because there's a good chance that if you did that, they might think that that you thought the episode was about them. But maybe you'll kind of share it generically. Maybe you'll take a screenshot and share it on your Instagram stories, or maybe you'll share it on your Facebook page. Just something to help us call attention. We've been trying to do more of that lately, and it's been working. It's been working well. We've seen numbers go up a bit. And I can definitely tell when people are sharing things out. So that's the first thing I'm hoping for. The second thing is that it induces conversation. If you've been following along for a long time, you know that I am absolutely hell-bent on getting martial artists to stop the infighting about everything. And so maybe you'll take a step back from how you act around other martial artists and say, could I be more supportive? Could I be more helpful? Do I need to get out of the way? Am I blocking something? Lead, follow, or get out of the way. Right? Those are your options. I don't think that applies to any of you. Maybe it does. I don't know what you all do all the time. Who says Stranger Things is totally worth binge watching? I definitely plowed through the first season. I loved the first season. It was really good. It was different. And then season 2 started getting really weird. Like I said, really weird, creepy. It's not my version of entertainment. All right. Now, Frank did give us some stuff to talk about, as always. Thank you to Frank for all of his work on the show. Thank you to Josh. Got to talk to Josh a little bit last night for our theme song. And so today, we are talking about Kickboxer, the movie Kickboxer, on this day in 1989. There we go. I can talk. Jean-Claude Van Damme's film Kickboxer premiered in theaters last year. We did a How to Fight episode on the film, episode 639. The camp in which Jean-Claude Van Damme's character visits during his search to find a trainer is the Sor Thanikul gym of Bangkok. Though defunct since 2003, it was a genuine training center for Muay Thai practitioners, housing over 50 kickboxers at any given time. The scene in which Kurt's meat tied to his leg and is chased by Xian Chow's dog was inspired by a real-life event in which a young Jean-Claude Van Damme was ordered by his karate teacher to wear a protective suit and withstand the attempts of a trained dog to pull him to the ground. Huh. That's interesting training. I don't think I would ever do that. I don't think I would ever have somebody else do that. I could see some value in that if you're a MMA practitioner. If you can resist a dog pulling you over, that's probably pretty good. Very odd. And the title held by Dennis Alexio's character in the movie, the International Sport Karate Association, ISKA, Heavyweight Championship, is a real championship and has been held by Alexio during his fighting career. I think we talked about that on the How to Fight. The belt in the movie, however, is not modeled after the actual belt. And I think, isn't Alexio in prison? Isn't that why we haven't tried to get him on the show? Andrew has a better memory for this stuff. Andrew says, I feel sorry for the dog. Not a Van Damme fan, I guess. And throwing it back to what I was saying about today's episode, Stacy replies, because there's a little bit of a delay. But Jeremy, my martial art, and she says this with sarcasm, but Jeremy, my martial art could wipe the floor with all other martial arts. And non-sarcasm, I love that Whistlekick is style agnostic and makes cross-learning fun. I don't know if we pioneered that term. Did we pioneer that term, style agnostic? We might have. Because it doesn't matter. You do what you do. If what you do works for you, why should I tell you you shouldn't? If I've got extra time and energy to worry about how you're training, I should probably be training. Reminds me of that meme. There's a great meme that I see kicked around on Facebook once in a while. And it's a 2-panel, and it's with a older Chinese gentleman, white hair and the long mustache. And in the first panel, they're intending some manner of broken English, complaining about horse stance. And then the second panel is, sounds like you need more horse stance. Complaining about how other people train, sounds like you need to worry more about how you train. That's what I hear every single time. And that's kind of the root of the episode. Just shut up and train. I was wearing a shirt yesterday that said, shut up and train. Everybody worries far too much about what other people are doing. Just overall. When I was at the bank, so the person who was helping me, I guess someone who's been there for years, and I've talked to her for years. She's a very nice person. She's been incredibly helpful with anything that I've needed. She's probably like the number 2 at the branch. And I asked her, how's it going? I walked up, I said, do you want a hug, or should I go get you like alcohol? Because she's just defeated. All these people upset about their accounts. Now, she didn't screw it up, but they're taking it out on her. And so we had a brief conversation about how people have decided that it's okay to vent their day on others. It's not. It never was. But social media has conditioned us that because someone disagrees with you, or someone is affiliated with something you don't like, that it's okay to yell at them. I don't think that's going to play out well over the next few years. I think as people become more and more frustrated and upset, and there are plenty of things going on in the world to support my theory that pendulum hasn't swung all the way to the edge yet, we're going to see some violence come from it. My hope for all of you is that you're above that, but if you're not, work on it. And if you find yourself in a situation where verbal confrontation escalates, hopefully you are skilled in such a way to protect yourself. Andrew responds to my question about him liking Van Damme. Early Van Damme was great. I feel he's gone on too long now. Gad says the first Van Damme movie he saw was Black Eagle. I was a Sho Kosugi fan before also becoming a JCVD fan. Sorry, Jenny, we're not rewinding the last few minutes. Oh, look at all these comments. Gads has been thinking a lot about violence lately. I believe the biggest threat to humanity isn't zombies, aliens, or a plague. It's impatience and frustration. And I'm with you. You know, we're so ready to divide ourselves up into these groups, these camps, which there's a sociological instinct to do so, but I think most of us probably agree that there are others encouraging that division. We often disagree about why, so we don't need to go there. But as people become more and more divided, it becomes easier to take actions against them. There's that. I don't remember the if I remember correctly, the experiment is named after where it was done, and it was a group of college students was split into prisoners and guards. And this goes back a while, 40 years, 50 years. Somebody's probably going to remember the details on this better than I do. And within 2 weeks, those who were given the role of guards were treating those who had been given the role of prisoners terribly. These were college students who were, they were peers just a short time before. When you divide, when you give power, and you highlight differences, people will become terrible. There's that quote, where did I just use this on social media not long ago? A person is smart, people are stupid, from the original Men in Black, and that's not quite the quote. But when you get enough people together, it doesn't take a lot of effort. Hive mind is not smart. It's resilient, but it's not smart. Thank you, Josh. The Stanford prison experiment. Yes, that's what I'm referencing. And Kelly says, and a lack of consequences, especially when kids are involved. Way more violence in schools now against other kids and teachers. Yes, this idea, and I have to say, I am simultaneously, I applaud and am impressed, blown away at parents' tolerance and support of their kids going to public schools and enduring some of these things, while simultaneously being shocked that parents would subject their children to some of these things. I do not pretend for a moment to understand everyone's situation, nor do I discount the fact that it is not a simple problem to address. But public school is the only place I'm aware of where there is a second set of, quote, laws. And yikes. Andrew says he agrees with Gad. There's a great article in the Guardian newspaper recently about mental health being a society problem rather than a broken head individual problem. Some oversimplification there, absolutely. And, we've got our resident expert on the subject in the chat, Josh. And Josh probably, again, knows more about what I'm about to reference than I have retained. But there have been studies about rats. And if you put enough rats in a space they start to develop mental illness. They start to turn on each other. There's a certain population density that does not work. And given that the majority of our people, human beings, live in high density, this is a potential explanation for why, if you look at rural areas, there are even when you factor in per capita population levels, etc., a lot of things don't happen. And I'm not going to be more specific than that. The Philadelphia experiment. Okay, is that the one I was just talking about? Kelly says, had a first grade student that was choked in the bathroom. Happy to say his dad will be addressing this. There are few times that I am happy I don't have children. It is hearing about something like that and then feeling the reaction inside of me that makes me thankful. Because I don't have to worry about it. If somebody's kid choked my kid, there would be a problem. Gad says, disrespectful and aggressive behavior isn't punished anymore. Would be that people corrected others in society, but it seems that some people are devolving instead of evolving, displaying caveman behavior, and their numbers are increasing because we encourage it. It's somehow, and we'll kind of end here. I'll leave you to think about this and hopefully correlate some of what's going on with, today's episode, martial artists are the reason martial arts isn't bigger. Think about football, right? Football is a great opportunity, or hockey or rugby is an opportunity for civilized folk to watch a sport that has a decent amount of violence, boxing, MMA, etc. People to watch things that are on some level violent, controlled violence, competitive violence, but still violence, and to cheer for it. It, on a level, is cathartic for us. It allows us to theoretically kind of offload the violence that some of us might feel a tendency toward into others. But we've gone so far beyond that we need more. We need more and more and more, probably because we're more and more frustrated. We're more and more angry and scared. So we're looking for more and more places to do it. And we end up with this low-level encouragement on social media because there are no consequences. If I walk up to somebody on the street and I tell them that because they have a whatever political persuasion indicator on their vehicle, that they are a moron and clearly are not fit to occupy the same area that I do, there's a good chance that it will turn to violence. So people don't do that. But on social media, it happens all the time because there is very, very little risk. Now, where does it have even more risk? When you get more people together, when there are like-minded people, when you have counter protests, will often turn violent because, as we said before, this kind of feeling of safety in numbers, group think, hive mind sort of deal. People don't think as clearly. Which is partly why I've never told you on any content we've made how to think. I've encouraged you to think. I've worked hard to present my case for how I feel. But in the end, I've always asked that you consider what I or we say and come to your own conclusions. And if you disagree, I've always encouraged people to help me understand why. I want to understand your point of view. I may not feel the same way, but the better I understand your perspective, the more entitled I am to my own. And we'll end here with Josh's comment. A rising tide raises all ships. When the environment is bad, we all suffer. When it's good, we benefit. But things that go up eventually go down. We as society often forget this. Quite true. I want to thank you all for coming by. Please check out today's episode of Martial Arts Radio. And if you want to support us, if the things that we do mean something to you, we've got the Patreon, patreon.com/whistlekick. You've got the code FIRSTCUP15 to save 15% on anything at whistlekick.com. If you're coming to a free training day, grab a shirt, if you're coming to the Northeast one, grab a VIP bundle. So many options for things that you can grab. If you are getting a VIP bundle, you are going to be pleasantly surprised at all of the things that are part of that bundle. There's so much going on. Andrew's put in a ton of work on this, and it's going to be worthwhile. And of course, if you want everything, I did update the family page yesterday, whistlekick.com/family. First Cup's the only martial arts morning show, at least that I know of, airing weekdays, 6:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I hope you all have a great day, and I hope to see you back here tomorrow for Friday for some jokes and some other stuff, and we'll see what happens. I appreciate the good discussion today, everyone. Take care. Be well. Peace.